Hi Barbie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. So you've been answering questions for a while, like probably like 4 hours. You're probably tired.
I'm not that tired. 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. It's
Oh,
okay.
it's not so bad 3.5 hours. It's just like it's like an Avengers movie or something.
Yeah, it's all part of the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But don't worry because I only have one question. I'm joking. I want to know where can I find like a Smash Lab because I want to break stuff. I'm just in the mood for that.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, you can find them a very I actually know that they are way more common than you think because a lot of
Mhm.
people have like recreational like escape rooms, laser tags, and they'll have a rage room in there too. So it's actually common. It depends where you are, but I've seen a few.
It's not, yeah, it's not a bad idea, right? To go like sometimes and
You need to get it out physically, you know?
yeah, shit. So how was doing that in the movie?
It was great. Oh my gosh. I remember I had a really tough day the day before and I was like, it was really I needed it. I needed to get it out. And also what's funny is in Kentucky it was like 100 degrees. It was like so hot. And so I had to wear the whole thing with the helmet and everything. And so it actually added to the frustration of it because I was getting so hot in there and I was just like, ah! I just felt very like the animal inside me came out. It was great. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, and there's definitely some people in this movie that might deserve to be like I don't know, not deserve to be punched because I need to be careful with that, but probably there's a lot of people in the movie that don't deserve much love. But
Boundaries,
no, but
baby.
the good thing is like the movie itself has a message of hope even if you're not feeling so good because you're surrounded by that people, right?
Yeah, and then what's really great about this movie is that what I thought was so um amazing about it is that there is like Lily herself is such a hopeful person despite having such a shitty upbringing and having like almost no guidance and no real unconditional love growing up, and yet she leads her life with this kind of childlike wonder of just hopefulness and trying to make everything better around her even if she has no idea what she's doing. It just is a it was really wonderful to be part of a movie that was hopeful, and it was hopeful because at the end of the day, the director and the writer, Tracy Lehman, this actually did like a version of this happened to her. And that's why she's making this movie, is because someone was kind to her. So it just really was such a wonderful meta moment.
Yeah, so how was like developing the character? You mentioned the director, and I know that as you say that this is like based on something that happened to her, but I suppose that she changed a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not necessarily
Yeah.
autobiographical. So you obviously talk to her and everything, but where else do you find inspiration for the character?
So what I really did was, when I read the script, I felt so connected to the character and I felt like I had this like maternal instinct with Lily to just take her and take care of her, and it's something that she has to do for herself. We all have to be our own parents at some point and make decisions for ourselves that are hard. And because it was based off of a true story, I when I first talked to Tracy, I wasn't sure if she wanted me to just completely play her in this, if she wanted me to like copy everything she does and do it, and that wasn't the case at all. It's a fictionalized story. So yes, the message of it is correct and real. Like she actually did meet a man on Facebook who was very kind to her over the years. But they didn't actually meet. There's like all these things that are fictionalized for
Okay.
the movie. And so when I first started talking to Tracy, we built this character that was completely separate from both of us. That felt like it was perfect for the movie. We both put our real pain, our real experiences into this one character, but the way that she navigates everything is different because she grew up differently than both of us. And it was like we made this child that came from both of our brains, and that was Lily Trevino.
Yeah, yeah, because she's really like at the beginning she's very insecure, right? She's lonely, so you had to put yourself in her mind.
Oh yeah. That's the best part about being an actor is, you get to explore these parts in your brain that you don't express every day. I like to think of characters as little aspects of who I am. Like if with Lily, what was the truth for her that really connected with me was my lack of a father figure growing up and who I am because of that. And what could have happened if I didn't have anything, no journey of healing whatsoever until I was in my 20s. And what happens when you're isolated like that and you grow up in that way. And so I felt really viscerally for Lily in every way, shape, or form. And I wanted to play her as truthfully as possible, which means that she's just the average person. She is lonely. She's someone that maybe people might ignore or not pay attention to, but it's people that we all know. We all know a Lily Trevino, someone who is begging for connection and doesn't have that around them. And so it was really cool to just embody this character that is just this hopeful, lonely person that is just trying to figure it out herself.
So it's interesting how, as an actor, you need to just like sometimes some actors say that they don't, but usually actors, I mean, I think it's impossible not to use any like personal references, stuff, feelings that you have already. But it's interesting because you need to switch things. I mean, in your case, I mean, your own story. I mean, you're very close to your mom. This is not the case with the character.
Yeah.
You mentioned that your dad wasn't around, but so it's just like probably it's weird, right, to have like being able to use what you experience, but then change it in order
Yeah.
to
I
at
feel
least
like
make
that's
the point.
really what acting is for me. I'm someone who didn't go to drama school. I'm someone who's been going to acting classes my whole life, but I've never been in like a drama school or anything like
Mm.
that. And so I've really created my own method of how I feel and how I act and how I pick my projects. And I find that I l- I think that my favorite actresses bring something of them to every character that is different. It's just a part of them that's different, but it's held in such a truth. It's not out of nowhere, and that's like to me what being an actor is having this seed of an idea and of a correlation with the character, whether that be something very abstract or something very literal, like Bob Trevino, father issue, I don't have a father. Or it could be something like you're playing a character that you understand their shame, you understand what it's like to be, and to be put into those scenarios. So for me, with Lily, it felt like something that was very close to me. And so I wanted to make a character that was absolutely the opposite of who I am because first of all, it's more truthful. I'm a girl who grew up in New York City. I'm like a fast talking, like kind of like, kind of girl and funny and naturally have, the way that I learned how to deal with my childhood was to be very naturally charismatic and very in a different way than Lily, a people pleaser in a different way. And so my favorite part about acting is that I never play myself, but I play what could have been and who I could have been in these scenarios. And that's always the funnest part. I love looking at people. I love observing how people act. I love watching documentaries. I love watching if I'm sitting at a cafe, I watch how people talk. People are very strange. People have weird ways of interacting. People have weird ways of dealing with things. And that
Yeah.
to me is incredibly fascinating. So it's cool to bring a seed of what I am into also my fascination of humans and like all these things that I've picked up from other people and make it into one character.
Yeah, because as I say, she's like very insecure. And you said you were like different when you were like growing up, and at least right now you're extremely confident. I mean, you've been in Euphoria and everything. You're not an underdog, but it's interesting to just like explore different things. I don't know if you so when you're somewhere like looking at people trying to find out something. Sometimes they catch you looking at them, and then you have to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, like I'm constantly like, my work really is isolating in a way where I'm always at the airport or I'm like alone some
Yeah.
in a random place that I've never been to before. And so a lot of my time is by myself is just watching what's happening around me, watching how people talk and we could tell when someone has a bad day. You can tell when someone's a little kooky. It's like people fascinate me and we all we there's so many interesting aspects of being a human and people that we meet that are such characters, and those are always like gold mines for actors when you meet someone very specific and you're like, oh, this is a person that embodies something that I could use for later. So it's just like it's about picking and understanding the human condition, I think, is what acting is about.
yeah, sometimes it's something that you don't learn, right? I mean, sometimes it's something that you have on yourself. I mean, good actors are like sponges, right? They're able to just like it's kind of weird too because they're able to
Yeah.
put themselves in a different person and then but that's an interesting thing because I don't think like not everybody's able to do that. I mean, some people are just themselves and there's no way that they can
Yeah, and that's
be
cool. There's
somebody
people
else.
who like can play themselves, and that's totally fine. And I think that definitely works. But for me, what I think is interesting is picking characters for myself that I feel are so outside of me that I have to like shed everything about myself that I know, other than just my raw emotions, and then funnel that into different ways and add layers to it. It's the creative part of acting. It's the fun part, I think. And then the performance is all like from the prep of that.
So it's also refreshing to see you in a type of story that you never made before. I mean, I don't want to sound reductive, but because of Euphoria, some people might thought, okay, this movie is going to be about this young girl with this older guy. There's going to be something weird there, but it's not. So that's also cool, right?
That was the reason why I liked it. I thought it was incredibly radical to have a movie in 2025 that is so wholesome and so doesn't fall into any tropes. It's not excessive. There's nothing there's more substance than style, and I thought that was really radical because I never see that anymore. Everything's about how fancy the cinematography is, how
Mm.
nice the costumes are, who's the hot person in the movie that we all love this week. And I love those too, don't get me wrong, but I thought it was really cool and radical that this movie like completely was the opposite of that. It's about just two characters who are deeply unsexy in every way, like finding each other and having this extremely wholesome friendship. I thought it was so cool and disorienting that this movie didn't fall into any of that.
Yeah, this movie is also like it's lovely, right? It's very sweet. I mean,
Mhm.
people need to be aware that they will be crying.
There'd be some crying. And in the beginning, when it first came out, I was kind of hesitant of even saying like, y'all gonna cry, because when you tell people they're gonna cry, they tend to not, or they try to like they try to fight it, right?
Yeah.
But this movie, from what I've seen, it'll do the job. So just go see it if you want to get a good cathartic cry out.
How was for you? How is for you like crying on the screen?
I mean, as an actor, it's literally the most like for me the most pressure filled thing because it's so physical instead of emotional. I mean, the act of crying is something that you have to like do, and it's very hard to turn that on and off. I'm not someone who can do that. There's a lot of actors who can like choose which eye their tear comes out of.
Oh
that's not
wow, for
that's
real?
not my case. That's not my case. If I don't feel it, I can't actually do it.
Yeah.
um for me, that's the most important thing. I can't fake cry. And so I really had to get myself into a place to be able to be emotional and see what comes out. And it was a lot of meditation, a lot of listening to sad music, a lot of isolating myself before those scenes. I'd find little closets in the locations and just sit there,
Mm.
tiny little broom closets, and just like sit there with my headphones on. And then when they're ready, they would knock, and everyone was so respectful because I'm such a loud, funny person that for most scenes, I'm like cracking jokes with the crew, everyone was so respectful when they knew there was a scene that was very important and that was very like they need to have respect for it. Everyone's voices came down. Everyone let me, be in the closet. They like let me be in like, in a room in the closet, be in like a small room of any sort. They let me have my isolation so that I can properly do it, which was really wonderful. It was actually way easier than I thought it would be because I didn't get in the way of myself.
No, no, you're great at it. I mean, it's very moving. So, and also like in this movie, your facial expressions say a lot, right? I mean, it's a character that just like and then she, not only when, I mean, it's funny because it's just like she's not only expressing pain, but she's like showing empathy. That's something very cool about this
Yeah.
movie. That is not
I've been
only
told, I've
because
been
the people
told,
are some people around her are very narcissistic, but she's not. I mean, she's still young, so of course she wants to feel okay, but she's also does. I mean, she doesn't know exactly what to do, but she cares about other people, and you need
oh
to
yeah.
show it. Yeah.
I've been told to have a very expressive face, and I feel like, as an actor, I hope that that's a good thing.
No,
um,
it is. It is.
Even in my own life, like I can be read like a book. My face just kind of tells the story of how I'm feeling, and so I really got to use that in this movie in a big way because Lily's very internal with her feelings. The things she says, well, she's internal until she blows up, right?
Yeah,
And it's extremely external. So there's these extremes of like you she doesn't know how to communicate, so you have to read it really in her face. And so I'm really happy that that read. And I'm happy that, this character, I tried so hard to just pour as much love and innocence into her as I could because I found that she was such an innocent, kind of naive person that has, even though she's a little bit older than a kid, she's still in that era of her life where, the innocence is still prevalent. It's still there at the core of it. And she's also a very emotional person when things get too much. She doesn't release things in small bursts. She releases it in one big burst, which happens when you're traumatized. You try to keep it all burst
yeah,
in, and then one little thing happens and all of a sudden you're undone. And so I really wanted to show that.
sure, sure. And we have to talk about the older guy. We have to talk about John Leguizamo. I mean, he's great. I mean, he says a few words in Spanish. It's funny because he's Colombian, but what he says just like kind of Mexican slang.
Yeah, he plays a Mexican guy in Bob Trevino. It was really important to him too.
So did he try to teach you any words in Spanish or anything?
I know poquito de español, of course. I speak Portuguese, so
You're fluent in Portuguese, right? I
yeah.
watched some videos and you're like perfect in
Oh,
Portuguese.
thank you. Yeah, I speak Portuguese, so I can definitely speak Spanish a little bit, especially when I'm a little bit drunk. And I love to go to Mexico City. Mexico City is my favorite. So whenever I'm in Mexico City and I'm a little bit drunk, I am
That
like
helps a lot. That helps a lot. Tequila helps a lot.
tequila helps. I literally will be on the streets cackling with everyone. I'm like, we're literally like, so it depends on how loose I'm feeling with my Spanish, but I can definitely understand Spanish very well and I can speak it not that very well. But yeah, me and John would like, I had to pretend to be someone who knows nothing about Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
okay.
it was very cute.
So anyway, there's a Latino thing in this movie that wasn't probably part of the real life story because Tracy seems to be completely Anglo, right? She's not
Yes.
Latina.
Yeah. So she
So
grew up in Texas with a lot of Latinos, and she really thought that it was really important to really have that aspect of it
the
there.
Latino twist, yeah,
Latino twist, baby, the best kind of twist, the best kind of twist. Well, yeah, because
funky,
she grew up in
funky.
Texas, which is like primarily Latino, and so she really wanted to kind of an ode to the Latinos in her life. She got us in there, so it was very sweet. It was honestly very cool of her because she could have gone more literal and gotten like too like
Yeah.
American, kind of white Southern people, but she decided to go kind of the opposite direction, which I found was really cool because John plays a man who's like a blue collar worker, Mexican, hardworking guy who's very kind. And you don't really get to see that a lot with him, even. He plays a lot of like the Latino bad boys in a lot of movies.
Yeah,
It was cool that she really wanted to turn that stereotype on its head and be like, no, this like Mexican blue collar worker is actually a really nice guy who, who is changing this other Latina's life. Like it's very beautiful.
and that at this moment it's good to see movies and series with good Latino characters, right?
I agree with you. It's very amazing. And a lot of the Latinos in Hollywood, we've all been, together in a lot of ways. I've been kind of there's group chats and like events here, and you get to meet with all the like up and coming Latino actors, a lot of the like legendary ones, directors, activists, and everything. So it's been really cool that the Hollywood Latinos have really come together and we've been really supporting each other in a big way, especially during these times.
So you already revealed the reasons for your departure from like Euphoria, but it seems that I don't know because you're not doing Euphoria right now. You have the chance to do like many different things, right? I mean, just more films, even theater. I mean, you made House of Spoils with another Latina, Ariana DeBose. You're gonna be the main character in the reboot of Faces of Death. You were in Broadway with the Cult of Love, so
Yeah, it's been
you've
really
been very
fun.
busy.
Yeah, it's been really cool to kind of reinvent myself. I'm an adult now, I'm not like I was playing like kids before. Now I'm almost 30. I'm like a grown woman. The like characters that I have access to are so much more grown up. Like it grows up with me. And so it's been really cool. I'm so thankful that I got to be on Euphoria because I get to be a working actor, which is my dream in life was to be a working actor. And I get to explore all these other aspects of the craft. I get to do theater, I get to do like indie films, I get to do studio films, I get to do all sorts of things. And it's been really cool to kind of learn outside of being on a TV show. And as great as being on Euphoria is, it's like, it's a time constraint. It's a very long shoot and you kind of have you're kind of bound to it for the times that you are under contract. So it's nice that now that I'm free, I get to kind of be like, what do I want from my career now? Like as an adult woman, it's really cool. It's good. It's great to like grow up and always be constantly reinventing yourself.
And also like to be looking for different roles, right? To be like
Yeah.
versatile. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up. The things that all the movies that I've done since I left Euphoria have been, completely different than the last one, and it's been so much fun and creatively fulfilling. And I've been doing different mediums that I'm not used to, like theater. I got to be on Broadway and do my Broadway debut, which was a
How
huge.
was that? How was that? How was Broadway?
It was
Broadway?
amazing. It was so cool. Also, my family's in New York, so I got to really
Mm,
be with my mom and my family. My grandma came to visit. She came to see the opening night. Like
cool.
it was amazing. I got to see people from I grew up in New York, so in the tri-state area. So all these people that I grew up with got to see me in action. It was really dope.
That's nice. That's nice. Faces of Death. I like horror, so that sounds interesting. The original one was like very controversial. Controversial. Th this one doesn't use like any like real footage, right? I suppose.
Well, I no, no, we
You
no.
never know.
No, I'm like, well, you never know. No, we did nothing illegal in this movie. Although what's interesting about the Faces of Death lore and like the thing is that people thought it was real, but a lot of
Yeah.
it's fake, but a lot of it was real animal murder. There's no animal murder in Faces of Death that we have recreated. There's none of that. But it is a very deeply disturbing movie. It's very disturbing. It's very fun. It's also, it's cool to have this like kind of IP that is that has such a large has like a dark story to it. It's really cool to play with that. And our reimagining of Face of Death, especially with Danny's reimagining of Faces of Death is really cool. So hopefully you guys get to see it soon.
Yeah. Is it coming out soon? Because it seems that some distributors are kind of scared.
They're scared. I think they're scared because it's a very scary movie. So hopefully, people can handle it.
And there's another one like Mile End Kicks, where you portray
Yeah.
like a movie critic in the middle of the Montreal like indie music scenes
Yeah.
in the 2010s. I don't know if I say it right. So have you already finished that one? Because that one
Yes.
sounds cool too.
We did last summer. It's such a good movie. I'm so excited for you guys to see it. It's sexy, it's funny, it's gritty. It's like an indie take on a rom-com where instead of it being like a glossy, like, blockbuster rom-com, it's like really marries like the indie cinema of it with the rom-coms. And like it's really a great film for right now because I feel like what people are experiencing is like a nostalgia for the 2010s. It's like so it's in 2011 when like the height of the rock music, kind of like electronic music scene in like the hipster like era. It's really cool. I think people are gonna really like it, and it's a summer in Montreal, baby. Well, what better way to do it?
And it takes place in Canada, right? Interesting too. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't usually see too many stories there.
Oh yeah, this is a deeply Canadian movie. It's so Canadian. I got to really experience being Canadian for a little bit. It was so cool. I had to do an accent, a little bit of a Toronto accent. It was very fun. Very
But
fun.
your character is it's an American that goes to Montreal.
No,
Oh,
my
she's
character
Canadian.
is a girl from Toronto who moves to
Okay.
so it's but Ontario and Quebec, very, very different places. So I actually had to learn a lot about like the differences in, French Canadians and with the Anglos too. So it was really cool.
So do you have like a release date already or not?
Uh Very soon. I think it's gonna go into the festival circuit. So
Right.
an eye out.
So what's the next thing that you're gonna be like showing in theaters or like in TV? Oh,
Um,
what was that? I
sorry,
heard something
my
weird.
dog, my gardener's here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
I'm so sorry. My
No, don't
gardener's
worry.
here. That's why I'm literally grabbing his face. Um, so the next thing is, well, we will see. Right now there's Bob Trevino, and then we will see possibly either one of those films out this year. So let's hope.
All right, Barbie. Thank you very much for your time. And then I think you're over, so congratulations.
Thank
I don't know
you.
what else you have to do for work, but
All good. Thank you so much.